Let's bring our palms together at our heart center and softly close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, feel your upper and bottom eyelid touch one another. And soften the space between your eyebrows. So as you softly press your eyes together, the softer you get, the eyebrow center softens as well. And let's take 3 deep breaths together. So take a inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. And the last one, breathe in and breathe out. Keeping your eyes closed, just nod your head towards your amazing heart, bowing with some grace. And then lift up your head and release the hands. Welcome everyone to Astro Yoga Chat. I am Kate.
And I'm Natalie. Yes, we're back. Yes, and it's a very special time, Kate. Do you feel it?
I told you I'm feeling it today. I was like, first thing I said to Natalie today was, what is going on? Because yesterday and the day before, everything felt like even keel, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden this morning, I'm like, something is happening because something is stirring up within me. Natalie, tell us.
Yes. So today, actually, the sun is conjuncting Pluto. So the sun moves 1 degree every day, right? So once a year, the sun meets Pluto, and they're meeting at 29, I think 59. So which is just like 1 minute away of going into Aquarius. So actually, what's happening, and one of my astrology teachers, Delia King Afolo, he described it. It hasn't happened in thousands and thousands of years. So what is today? They're meeting in Capricorn at 29, 59 degrees. And tomorrow, Saturday, they both go into Aquarius. So we don't have like one Sun Pluto conjunction a year, which is already a very intense day because Pluto is the planet of change and transformation and going deep and very heavy, right? So we have two of them in a row, and one is in the sign of Capricorn, society, government, structures, rules and all of that. And he's been in there since 2008, also like money systems, banking systems, all of that got really difficult already. Now they move both together into Aquarius. And Aquarius is actually connecting to our today's topic. So it's connected to Uranus, to the 11th house, and we'll talk about the 11th house. And this is about groups of people, like we'll talk about friends and stuff like this, but it's about groups of people. So there will be huge changes in the next 20 years about society, about how people work together, like top down government structures. I think they will not work so much anymore because people will rebel and form their own things, what they want to do. And it will be very interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, we have arrived at the 11th house. Groups of people, friends, organizations. In Vedic, it's also very interesting. It's the house of great gains. So it's not a paycheck, but money you get maybe from residuals, like from the work you do, but like once a year, once every few years, a huge amount of money. And it's also elder siblings. Yes.
Whenever you said like the 11th house, friends, groups, and organizations, and when you said elder siblings, Natalie asked me if I had any elder siblings, and I said no. I said I am the eldest, but my sister, who's 2 years younger than I am, thinks she's the eldest, and I do look at her as if she's the eldest. It's kind of funny. It's very funny, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we always talk a little bit before about the topic. So actually what we realized, as for the 11th house, we are like pretty much polar opposites, right?
Mhm.
Because you have Mars Saturn in there. I have Jupiter Venus. So, for you, like groups of people. And I want to say it's not about teaching groups of people, because that's teaching, being a teacher. It's a different thing. But being in groups of people is, a little bit more challenging, where I don't like masses of people together in one spot so much. But I feel always, I can talk to anyone, I feel, I can go to this group and this group. So I feel pretty okay with that,
And whenever you said that, like, so in my 11th house, so with I have two malefic planets and you have two benefic planets. So the malefics that I have are Mars and Saturn, right? So like that gives you a sense of, so for me personally, like when I'm with, groups and people and organizations specifically, like I kind of rebel. I'm a bit of a rebellion. Like I don't want to be associated with different things and different groups. I go so far and then I'm like, nah, I'm on my own, kind of thing. Which takes me to this past couple days ago, I was at the Shivananda ashram in the Bahamas. And if you've never heard of Shivananda, I will put a link in the chat section for you to check it out, because Shivananda is a style of yoga. And Shivananda ashrams, they're all over the world. And an ashram is, you can think of an ashram as a spiritual home. Like people go to live there for maybe a couple of months or maybe longer. They do service there, they do karma yoga. An ashram, you can think of it as like a temple. Like they do ceremonies, pujas, we call this in they're called pujas.
Cleansing rituals and
Yeah, rituals. Yeah, I was going to say something like it's like religious. It's just a very hard thing because pujas is a Hindu religious ceremony. But in yoga, because our yoga is also based on spiritual texts, the Vedantas, the Vedic, the Bhagavad Gita, like, this is where the conversation of is yoga a religion or is it not? And every yogic center will say that it's not a religion, that it's whatever God, it's whatever, no, like, because they're not going to tell you which God should be your Ishtadeva. Ishtadeva is what we call the divine. And that could be anything to you, you know. Actually, it was quite interesting because there was this beautiful mural of Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity and the goddess of wealth. And I've been studying the Sri Shukta, which are 16 mantras dedicated to Sri Lakshmi. And I never noticed this specific version or this visual of her before. Natalie, she looked so cool. She was like gorgeous goddess with a guitar, like
like you.
and I'm like, play it, like I play the guitar, right? So here she is with her guitar. She's got these two swans in front of her. I'm like, oh, this is Lakshmi. She's speaking to me, and I was telling my mom during the beginning of my yoga practice, like I gravitated towards Ganesh. Ganesh is the destroyer of obstacles, right? And then from Ganesh, I went to Krishna because I was part of like going to like the Bhakti Center with the Hare Krishnas and chanting and kirtan and all of this. And then from Krishna, Shiva got me. And Shiva is the destroyer that destroys everything in order for you to start anew. And Shiva came into my life and destroyed everything and it blew everything up, but it's okay because it had to. I'm done with blowing things up. And now I have Lakshmi energy within me. And it's so funny because you don't really think about it. So this is what I mean about like your divine connection. You don't, like this is why let's say I love like, this culture of like these deities, because you can connect with these different deities for different reasons and like just flow with the energy of the divine. Like it's super cool. I don't know why I just like went
No,
off.
I mean, all those deities are also the names of the planets. They are from, Greek and Roman deities, right? So, like when you said Shiva, Lord of Destruction and Rebuilding, that's Pluto, right? Like you have a Pluto transit, he takes everything away from you that's not growth producing, and you have to start afresh. So, I mean, um, they have same archetypes, and those pujas that you say, they are also, they call them yagyas. but they also do them for the planet. So it's certain energies, where they do rituals for. But I mean, obviously, we both are friends, so we're connected through an 11th house. And when you have same interests like us, we have so many same interests like yoga, and we come from the entertainment industry and stuff like this. So that's always very connecting, and I felt like with my interests always like a little bit like a weirdo in my life. I've been always dancing on stage, and even as a child, and then now like in yoga, it's not really a real job, not an office job. And when I finished my first yoga teacher training, I was like, wow, in LA, everybody is an actor and an actress, and they all like yoga. I was like, everybody is like me. So it felt very connecting.
Yeah,
So the
absolutely. And I think that's why too is when like when you when you go to yoga classes, and you can go to any yoga studio in the world, right? It's like what you were saying about dance before. Like you can go to any dance studio. You're speaking the same language. You're speaking this language of movement. Like when you go into a yoga studio, it doesn't matter if like, I actually remember being in the yoga studio in Vienna, and during my first teacher training that I taught there, and I took a class, and it was only in, it wasn't in English, and it was like, that's okay because I know these poses. I know, and if you use Sanskrit, I'm good. You don't, I'm totally good. So yoga is such a beautiful place to build that like community, the friendship, like the groups that are coming together and having something of common interest together.
Yes. And let's tie it back to also astrology. So whatever you have in that house, it's really interesting. Like, I have a friend, she has Rahu in the 11th house, and Rahu is bringing things, but with a cost. But it's a very big focus in life. I mean, we in Western we say it's the North Node, it's your goal. But we're having Rahu in the 11th house, having it immensely powerful friends and groups of people that will move you along, maybe even in your career. Like other people don't meet those important people. She is teaching, the most famous singers in the world. So she is in those groups of people, and you see it in the chart. So it's really interesting. Or for instance, if you had Ketu, the south node in the 11th house, you would always have a feeling, I don't belong to any group, or I don't have enough friends, or it's something that's always lacking in my life. So it's so interesting how astrology works. You look at the chart and you really see what's going on, in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so when I was saying that I was just at the Shivananda ashram, it's an organization, it's a group, and when I was first there, and this goes to Mars and Saturn being in my 11th house, there's always this a bit of a resistance, a slow time for me to like, to warm up in a sense, like like you said, when it comes to teaching, it's different. I'm a teacher. I'm vulnerable. I'm more open. I have a purpose. I'm there with purpose to give. When I'm there as a visitor, that's a different story. So it took me a while. I was quite resistant to it for the first 24 hours. And then I opened myself up, and things changed, not because I forced it. It just happened, and I got, even though I've been going to these ashrams for 20 years. So it's not like this is my first rodeo. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? I know exactly what's going on. I know all the mantras. I know this and that. It's just for me in like groups, it's like I usually feel not like an outsider. I know that like it's like I have to remind myself to like relax, like tell myself, Kate, just chill out, chill out. You belong here, relax, chill out. So
I think those building those groups, I mean, as for teaching, I think it feels very comfortable if you build a little tribe of people that always come back, because there's also an energy exchange. When you always teach strangers, I mean, that's also okay, but going further with people. So there is something about having your little tribe, yeah. And if you're a studio owner, of course, that's even on a different level. But even in classes, like having, maybe they're not just friends, they're students, but it's a group of people And if they're always coming back, I feel that as a very energetically different thing than if you teach a class of just strangers. When
Yeah.
you have like people, you feel the energy, like, yeah.
Yeah. Should
So
we?
actually it will be very interesting now. I mean, Pluto moving tomorrow in Aquarius. He will go back in Capricorn in September, October, and half of November. So it's the last time he's dipping into that. But then for 20 years in Aquarius. So all these, topics will be very interesting how they're gonna change. Yeah. And with Aquarius, it's those two waves, right? So it's like one is for your individualism and one is for groups of people, and they're not connected, so there's a space in between, but you can exist, like the way you are, a little bit different, but you can still move along with other people. Yeah. But
Hmm.
not merging and without, like having your own identity and disappearing. No, Aquarius, they are like, somebody who's Aquarius, they are very individualistic, very different. So you
Hmm.
can be your own person. You don't have to totally merge. It's just, you move along, you can vibe with other people.
I like it.
Yeah.
Is this but like, are you kind of, is this mean like for the next, this is going to be like the vibe that we're all going to be feeling kind of thing? Or is that more people who are,
I think it's probably a task or one of the goals to find your tribes, to find your groups. It will be of more importance having those groups of people you belong to, and have same interests.
cool. I like it. Because
And
that's,
also people who are watching this, right? I mean, they also vibe with us. They have similar interests. Otherwise, they wouldn't watch it, right?
well, exactly. And that's, so it's like, you can maybe spend some time and think about who you are vibing with, or like who you are, what are you listening to? And are you vibing with it? Or are you just listening to it because everybody else is listening to it? Are you like doing things? Are you following things because it makes you feel, it lights you up inside, or your ears are open to it, your heart is open to it? Or are you just listening to something because someone just has a TV on and you're just going to listen to it? So maybe this is a good reminder. This is a good time to like take some inventory and say like, what are you listening to? What are you vibing with? Who are you inviting into your energy circle? Who, like, I don't know, I like it a lot actually.
And maybe also as a little homework, so observe what's happening tomorrow on Saturday. What date is it? The 21st, I guess.
The 20th.
And tomorrow is
Yeah.
the 20th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Observe what's happening tomorrow on the 20th of January. And then on Saturday, the 27th, Uranus, the planet that rules, the natural 11th house and Aquarius, will station and then go direct. So actually, with Saturday of next week, there's another activation of that topic. So observe what's starting to happen this Saturday and next Saturday, in what area of your chart. So it's generally friends, groups, and people, but in your chart it could be something different. For me, Aquarius will be then Pluto will be moving into my 6th house, so it will have those topics. So but it still has to do with those, topics we talked about. So yeah, observe what's going on the next week, and maybe you get an indication of what the changes will be about.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. I just need to write that down. Okay. And we will stop right there because that was awesome. Let's bring our palms together at our heart. We're glad to be back. Take a deep inhale. Take a deep exhale. Let's do that one more time. Inhale deeply. And exhale fully. Bow your head towards your heart, gracefully and humbly. And then lift up the head. Release your hands. Open up your eyes. Thank you.
Namaste.